everybody, and welcome to the very first episode of In a Nutshell with Natasha-Featuring, a brand new talk show made by a South Asian woman with South Asian women, showcasing, spotlighting, and highlighting South Asian women working across industries, across the globe. I am so excited to introduce to you our very first guest. But before we do that, a special thanks, a special shout out to all the brilliant women who have been part of production, execution, contributions, and partnerships for this talk show. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, and tag us in any posts. So, moving on to our very first guest of this mini season, Shalini Peiris. Shalini is a Sri Lankan actor based in London. Following studies in anthropology and development at the School of Oriental and African Studies and work in the field of human rights, Shalini went on to study acting at Arts Ed London. She now has many credits across theatres in the UK, as well as on the television. You might see her in something very soon. Please welcome to the show the brilliant and fantastic Shalini. Hello, Shalini. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
On this sweltering day.
With this fan, but it's so hot.
It's fine. I mean, I wish I had a fan. It is sweltering, and I've had to take the aircon out of this main room so that the sound isn't feeding into our wonderful Zoom studio that we're doing. But I'm so happy to have you as my very first guest on In a Nutshell with Natasha-Featuring. So, Shalini, tell us how you're known professionally and also how you're known personally.
So personally, I have quite a few nicknames. Shali, Shals, Shalzin. My grandfather calls me Gigi, which is just our little thing. And then a lot of friends call me Shal, Lini, Shah. Professionally, I wish I could say Shalini, which is my actual name, but in the industry, you know how it is. It's Lini. Shalani, you there, sweetie, my lovely. Chardonnay, Charlotte, but Shalini, Shalini is how I would like to be professionally known.
That's so strange because Shalini, of a lot of Asian names or South Asian names or other names, is actually a really easy name to say. So I'm surprised. So. I'm surprised because it is Shalini, which is very easy to say. So I'm very surprised. But Shalini is what you're known as professionally. And where are you usually based?
So I usually am based in London, and London is where I am, Shepherd's Bush specifically. So I'm on the other side of the tracks to you. West Side.
Great. And what a great part of London that is.
I love it. I love it.
And how do we know each other? Professionally or personally, do you remember?
Aside from being lovers,
yes. From that,
no, we met so you were assistant directing on the House of In Between, which was brilliant. Was it the premiere play? Was it Sivan's first play?
Oh, I'm not sure. I would have to check that, but it was a brilliant play at a big, nice mid-level stage audience, which was Stratford East, which was really lovely as well. But I don't know if it was Sivan's first big play.
But I mean, it was a brilliant play by this playwright called Sivan Green, which premiered at Theatre Royal Stratford East in 2015. And then
I think it was 2016, if my memory serves me correct.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, my bad. 2016.
2016. Good year that year for me.
Yeah. And it was actually 2016 was a good year.
It was a really good year. So Jinx, we both had a really good year in 2016, and also yes, that's when we met, and here we are 4 years later, and Shalini is one of my very close friends in the industry and in London, which is really lovely. So tell us, Shalini, what do you do? Tell us about you. What do you do, and why is the work you do important?
So I am an actress. And I've been a professional actress for 10 years now. And in terms of, I had quite an interesting road to becoming an actress. It's always been something that I have loved since I was very, very small. And, but I think I kind of, you know, growing up when I got to kind of uni and picking, you know, future career path, um, I didn't think that it was a feasible career path for someone like me at that time. There weren't very many like us doing it. So I went into anthropology and development and worked for a time in the NGO field, and that's where I thought my life would take me. And then this never really left. So after kind of working for a year in the human rights field, I spoke to my parents and I was like, let me see if I can get into drama school, first of all. And I did. And what I love, I was actually going through a period where I was becoming very frustrated and disenchanted with the academic world. And then I went through a similar experience with the humanitarian sector. And it's not a blanket statement at all, but I think there is some quite problematic politics in that world. And I think what I really missed was just basic empathy. And because it was a lot of analysis and reporting and kind of, you know, it was kind of a lot, very kind of black and white, and these intellectual frameworks which just kind of robbed people of the empathy of their, you know, of their own empathy. And what I love about what we do is storytelling is one of the oldest art forms, and I think that there is something so, I think it's quite a revolutionary medium to be able to share somebody's story with complete empathy and no judgment. And I think that's the most effective way to impact someone, to activate their social to entertain, you know, to make someone laugh, to make someone feel comforted and not alone, to educate. I mean, you know, art, what we do can do all of those things. And that's why I think that this is where I'm supposed to be.
Oh, 100%, 100%. How wonderful to hear that journey. Thank you. Have you got an anecdote, an event, or an experience that has happened in your life that has changed you or inspired you or propelled you forward in your chosen career path or in life?
In my chosen career path, I think let's stick with chosen career path, because personally it will just get way, yeah, I'll end it. I'll need like a therapy session afterwards. But I was always very active kind of in terms of as a junior actress. But I remember, I think it was a school play. So I've lived a very international life like yourself. And this is that was one of the things that we bonded on. Yeah, so for a time from about 2.5 to I'd say 9, 10, we lived in Newcastle in the north of England. And I think I was in one of the school plays. I don't know if it was the Christmas play or something else, but I played a messenger. It was a very small role, but Amma and I had kind of like, you know, designed this really pretty scroll, you know, so I would kind of, you know, came on stage and I unrolled this scroll and then I delivered the message and I just went for it. And then people laughed. And I remember going so red and I was like, that everyone's laughing at me. Why are they laughing at me? And then later at home, I was really upset about it. And I was saying, why were people laughing at me? And my parents were like, they weren't laughing at you. They were laughing. They weren't laughing at you in a mean way. It's because you made them laugh. And I was like, whoa. That was quite formative. And I also remember I was obsessed with Swan Lake as a kid. And I also remember watching BBC animated Shakespeare Tales. BBC did this animated series for children.
Oh, yes.
Do you remember those Shakespeare Tales?
Yes, I do. I have a vague memory of it, yes.
I mean, it was brilliant. It was brilliant. And some of them are actually on YouTube. And I remember watching it and just, that was my first memory of falling in love with this world. Just
oh, wow. Yeah, what beautiful stories to remember from your childhood that really gave you the inspiration to take you into the career you're in. And I know that I've seen you in so much of the work you're in now in recent years. And it's brilliant. I'm so happy those experiences happened for you as a child, because you've gone into this now in your later years. Really lovely. So let's put work aside for a quick second. So work aside, have you got a personal achievement so far that you're most proud of?
A few springs. I think I went through, so my 30s have been, and this is terrible because I'm an actress now, just kind of disclosing my age, which we don't usually do, but so I'm 34. So, you know, I've had, you know, 4 years worth of my 30s, and it's been a real, my 30s have been such a period of personal growth. And in terms of, I mean, in terms of like my relationship with my body, I had an eating disorder when I was in high school. Then in my 20s, I was very overweight for most of my early 20s. I had a very unhealthy relationship with food. And that I slowly started to change that. But in terms of in my 30s, I actually started to become really fit, and fitness became a part of my daily routine and just in my relationship with food. I remember, I mean, you were there with me. We went to Portugal last year on a girly holiday. That was the first time I had worn a bikini since I was 15. And you were there with me, you know, and you know, it was a huge moment for both of us, right?
It was, and girl, you
allowing
looked hot. I remember we had a little photo shoot on the beach.
Oh my God, with my Primark bikini, which like where the elastic gave way after one swim. So I was like holding my, you know, but also I've had multiple episodes of depression, and I think it's also put me in a position where I can also really be there for people. And that I'm really proud of, in that that it's actually all these experiences, they either open you up or they make you shut off, and I'm proud that I'm open and learning. And
yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. It's such a comforting thing to hear that, especially as a South Asian women. It's not something we talk about. We don't talk about our eating disorders. We don't talk about our relationships with our bodies, and within our cultures there is so much on beauty standard, not just globally, but within our cultures, the beauty standard within our cultures. And if you are, you know, on the heavy side, or you're too thin or you're too fat, and I know that that happened to me growing up, and it's really lovely to hear that from you, because it makes me feel comforted that I'm not alone in these really difficult moments that we do have as women, and as South Asian women specifically. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. So we're going to jump back to your wonderful career, the one that you've been working so hard towards, and you're thriving in. A professional achievement so far in your life that you are really proud of.
Professional achievement, can I give two?
Of course. Sometimes there isn't. There's a huge list, I'm sure. So two is great.
The two that really, I think one was, and this was it was a very small project. It wasn't very well paid at all. This is before we met, before we knew each other. But I think it was 2014. It was an independent theater project, and it was a series of short plays about FGM. So they were new short plays about FGM, and it was called Little Stitches. And it was also kind of happened to be at the time where the issue was really getting a lot of press. Mm-hmm. So the show then ended up taking on a life of its own. We had we were at the Gate, Theatre 503, and Arcola, and just had packed audiences. But what was really these were this was a theater company that was you know, set up by kind of fellow artists, and it was very, very women-led team. The director was a woman, the producer was a woman, both of the producers were women, and a lot of the playwrights were women, but it was also just amazing to see just the political power of theater. That was really rewarding. I mean, I earned next to nothing for it, but I think I didn't actually have very much work that year at all, but that was something I was so, and will always be so proud of. And also these plays it was very sensitively told. So it was, again, not placing a judgment on the communities that practice circumcision. It was very humanly and empathetically told. And then the other was actually the moment where I was close to walking away from it all. And again, you were there for me. She's such a good friend, by the way, everybody.
Stop.
But 2017, I had a real crisis. I guess I had a breakdown of sorts, but I got to a point where I completely crashed as a human being, because I had made it so much about being an actress that when I wasn't acting, I didn't know who I was. And I was not doing anywhere near as well as I wanted to. And I got to the point where I was like, I have to walk away. I'm too tired. I can't do it. That year. I was up for a play at the Globe called Lions and Tigers. And that was I was like, if I don't, and then as so happens, I did get it. And then that just completely changed the game, because I changed agents through that. And then with my brilliant agent, Tom, we just kind of, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm definitely on my way. But it gave a second chance in my career. And that's a big,
Yes.
I'm proud of.
Yes, I mean, absolutely. And you should be 100% proud about it, because sharing as well within careers how difficult they can be, because to the outside world, it does look like everything's going wonderfully and swimmingly. But especially in the career that you're in, it's such a difficult thing to navigate. And it's a very tricky thing. And I'm really happy that you didn't give up, because since then, you've been in some brilliant work, and I'm so happy that you're still around and representing. That's what we need. We need that representation, feeding so much into why the work you do is so important. To see women like you on stage, it definitely changes my viewing experience and really influences my viewing experience in a very positive way. So I'm really pleased. And what an achievement to have got over that breakdown. And it happens to all of us, and it's such an achievement. So,
but as important as it is for there to be women like me, it's also as important for there to be women like you as a director. There needs to be conscious representation on both sides.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So yeah. So
I think that's super important, and which is why I think you and me, we keep doing the work that we're doing, because representation is key now. This is the climate that we need it, and we want to inspire the next generation of young South Asian women, not just on stage. Yes. You can be the director, the writer, the costume designer as well. So let's keep going. Here we are, girls. You can do it as well. Which leads us into possibly something you might have covered a little bit. It is your lowest point so far, and how you've overcome it or are overcoming it as well. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Is this personally or professionally?
It can be, I think it can be either. You've told us, I think, professionally what's been happening. So maybe something personal that you're overcoming, or still or have overcome.
Definitely in terms of having an eating disorder and depression, and I think I'm quite depression prone, so that's something that I actively have to just check at all times. But I also think, and this is also something you know a lot about, is my recent, what's interesting, I don't know if there might be other people who can relate to this, in that I think this lockdown, because it kind of forced this standstill for so many of us. And I'm usually a person who, if, I have so many things on the go that I very rarely stop. So this kind of period brought on a lot of delayed grief for a relationship that ended late last year. and so so there's been a lot of delayed grief, but it's also made me check my entire relationship history and clear, because I think we're so because we are natural nurturers as women, and especially that's even like doubly reinforced in our cultures as South Asian women, that even in my healing before, my focus was still so much on them, because I was so kind of, what he did, what he said, how he's doing, how is he feeling, but he needs help and I need to, that this is the first time I've actually really I've actually really kind of sat with myself and accounted for my mistakes and behaviors that I need to change. And this is the first time I'm really kind of consciously single. I've been single for a long time, I've thought, but I've actually been emotionally invested in so many just like assholes, really, like who's who of male emotional crap. That no, not really, no, they're good, but you know what I mean. So that's also something that I'm quite my love life is basically like a who's who of men who need therapy and don't get it.
What you're saying, like you said, use the word relatable, and I'm sure there are so many people, so many women, so many South Asian women who can relate to what you're saying right now.
Yeah.
And of course, the crisis and being in lockdown and has given us so much time to just think and think about things. And it's really good to hear that you are overcoming it, no matter how slow the process is. I think overcoming it is very positive. So we will get there, sister. We will get there.
Otherwise, I just had several. There have just been so many spells where, like, I'm sure Natasha would have seen my name on her phone and she'd been like, "Hi, Shal," knowing I'm gonna be in floods of tears on the other end, and she's like,
Yes, definitely the sort of eye rolling, but never the judgment. That's for sure. Never with judgment. Never with judgment. Okay, so we're hearing all these things. We're hearing some very positive things, some quite difficult things and challenges in life. But I want you to stand in front of a mirror, and you're 13 years old. So you're 13-year-old Shalini, Leenie, Gigi, all these wonderful things. And you're looking at Shalini, age 34, because you've told us that you're looking at Shalini in the mirror, who she is right now. What would 13-year-old Shalini look at current Shalini and think or say or feel?
I think she'd be like, "You're still single?" Because no, but I mean, if you at that age, being single at 34 was just, we all thought by 25 you get married at 25, 26, you know what I mean? So definitely she'd be like, "Oh shit." And I think she'd be thrilled that that we became an actress.
Oh, 100%. And yes, I think this whole the pressure, I think my 13-year-old self and your 13-year-old self thinking, oh yeah, by the time I'm 25, 26, I'm gonna be married and I'm gonna have like a kid or a kid on the way already, which is again something so cultural, and it feels the pressure that we feel or gets put onto us, an age thing and being single. But I'm also really pleased that 13-year-old Shali is looking at 34-year-old Shalini and saying, yes, we became an actor. We did, because that is an achievement. And we're going to have you, Shalini, today now looking at your 13-year-old self. What are you going to tell her?
I would tell her, because 13 years old was just before I started to go through a really difficult episode. I would say, be careful who you trust. Take better care of your body, and go for it. You are as good as you fear you are, would be my because I think a lot of the time we speak from a deficit, and a lot of the time we often think, oh, it's because I'm not good enough. But also I think the actual truth of that lies in the fact that we're like, actually maybe we're better than we think we are. and then not going for it is almost even more unforgivable. So I think I wish, especially in my 20s, I kind of look back and I was like, I so wish I had gone for it more and just been so much more fearless, you know, especially at uni, because what a time. Like, we'll never get that time back. But yeah, be kinder to your body, be careful who you trust, and just, yeah, go for it, girl.
Just go for it. Oh, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Just go for it, girl. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're coming to the end of the floor is yours section, which I don't think I said at the beginning, but this is the floor is yours. This is about you and your voice and amplifying your voice. It's been so lovely to hear from you. So tomorrow is 24 hours of an ideal world for you. So Shalini's ideal world. No matter how unrealistic that might mean, tell us what 24 hours of an ideal world looks like. But things like hunger crisis and the equality crisis has been solved. So I know for a lot of us that is ideal, having, you know, we've solved the equality crisis, we've solved the hunger crisis, but let's presume that that's been solved and it's 24 hours and it's Shalini's ideal world. What does that look like?
24 hours, women of color would be on top. Women of color would just be running shit. There would be actual consolidated solidarity between Black and brown people. There would be an African and Asian alliance, and we would actually have ownership of our own economies and our own resources. Every dog would have a home. No dog would go hungry. I'm thinking specifically of, because I've really gotten into, I'm working with an incredible organization in Sri Lanka. They do dog rescue specifically for purebred dogs, who have been kind of bred and then really just horribly mistreated and then abandoned. But also Sri Lanka has a huge stray dog population, up to 3 million dogs. So every dog would be happy, every dog would have a home, and every child would be, oh my God, I'm feeling so happy thinking about this world. Every child would know that they are a superstar, and the oceans would be plastic free for 24 hours. And the arts would be resurrected.
Oh, that is just everything you said. It made me really happy as well to hear all this thing, to think about a world that looks like that. Women of color on top, a safe home for every dog, every stray, every purebred every purebred stray even, and every child knowing that tomorrow could be the best day of their life, they could all have a future, and that's just really, really wonderful. Thank you so much, Shalini. It's been so lovely to hear all these wonderful things. You're incredibly inspiring. I'm so happy that I've had a chance to amplify your voice, to know what is Shalini about, what does she do, and that's brilliant. Wow, I am so inspired. More from Shalini after this mini segment. Feature in a Nutshell is your chance to be part of In a Nutshell with Natasha-Featuring. If you're not a South Asian woman, you can still nominate people that you know who are South Asian women, who can send us in little features to be part of this show. I'm so excited to introduce to you Radhika Agarwal and Nikita Chadha, who have been selected from many submissions to feature in our very first episode. Do enjoy, give them a like, and give them a follow. This is Feature in a Nutshell.
When did the fire start? It's always been there, just not quite understood. It burns through me, relentless, consuming. The flames dancing on my skin, the smoke taking my last breath. Choking and spluttering, I let it have me. I am the fire, I am the flame.
much fun. Please don't forget to follow these two talented women. They do so many other things. And do send us your submissions and tag us in your posts. Back to the brilliant Shalini Peiris. Okay, you can breathe now. Whew. Whew. Well, maybe not, because we're doing a quick fire round. This is one of my favorite rounds in the whole thing. So here's what's going to happen. Here's what's going to happen. We're going to do a reaction in a nutshell, which should be easy for you because you're an actor. So this should be easy. So we're going to do a reaction in a nutshell. And I'm going to say a phrase or a word, and however you feel that you want to react, either in your face or your body, just do it for us. Yeah?
Okay.
Are you ready?
Oh my God. It's like audition panic. Okay, go on.
Okay, are you ready? So your first one is BLM. Great. Trump.
I'd have to get something from the toilet.
Thank you. Thank you. The government's response to the COVID-19 crisis. Yeah, I think we're all feeling that a little bit. COVID-19.
Give me a second. It's supposed to be quick fire. Okay, I don't know why, but that's.
Yeah, that's lovely. Yeah, that's how it feels. The summer. That's lovely.
And this.
Yeah, and that, of course. Steak and chips. I love that. Yeah. That's great. The beach and sangria.
Oh, that.
Yeah, don't we all want that? That's bringing me back memories from when we went to Portugal. Fantastic. Oh, thank you. You can relax now. So this is less reaction now, more brain power a little bit. So this is this is our final segment of this show. It's called In a Nutshell, and I'm just going to give you some phrases, and whatever comes to mind. It's all about what you do personally and people you admire and things like rituals and mantras that you follow and little mini messages that you can give us. So we're going to start in a nutshell, Shalini. 3 women or 3 other women that make you go, wow.
My amma, my mother. These are three. I'm going to give you 3 Sri Lankan women. Kasturi Chelaraja, who this is quite recent. I mean, just because it's quite recently happened. She is the first woman to become a CEO of a public conglomerate company in Sri Lanka, and that's quite. And she's a proud single mother of her 2 boys. She's like a fitness nut. I just think she's a badass.
Oh, amazing.
And also the way she wears her saris, I love. It's just she's yeah. I would say a lot of the environmental and animal rights activists in Sri Lanka are women. So I'm gonna. Can I just do like a tie? Number 3.
Yes, of course.
Shilpa Samaratunga, who heads Tales of Freedom, who's and that's the dog rescue organization I mentioned. Sudashini Fernando, who also she's like such a devoted activist and is kind of representing the elephants of our country, and she is in the courts every day fighting for their rights. Well, anyway, I've given you 4 women.
Yeah, a little bit of a cheat, but amazing. If I could get more women on that, I would love to. But what brilliant women they sound. All of them sound amazing. So give us a snack that comforts your soul.
Chai. I love chai. Chai is very comforting, as well as hot chocolate. I'm a hot chocolate nut. In terms of dessert, I have a major sweet tooth.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, any cake, pudding, eclair, anything with gooey chocolate is like comfort.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. That sounds really good. So give us a ritual to remember, something you do without fail, a ritual to remember.
A physical ritual or like a mental affirmation?
A physical ritual.
Oh, there was something actually on on the Duchess of Malfi, which was the show that I recently did at the Almeida. Our director, Rebecca Frecknell, we were talking about the weight of our characters, because it was a very dark play. And and this was an exercise that she learned where she taught us, so if you imagine just this beautiful piece of silk in front of you on the floor, and then you pick it up by two of its corners, you lift it up, and then you throw it behind you, and then that kind of just is like all of that just leaving you. Yeah.
Oh,
and some
wow.
Yeah, because I usually have some kind of like of just, yeah.
Oh, that sounds great.
Up
So
and
you pick
over.
it up, you put it over, and then you fling it
And then
away.
yeah, and then
Oh.
you just let it just fall to the ground behind you, and then
Oh.
you move forward.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I'm already feeling a little bit better. What a lovely ritual. Fantastic.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Give us now, off the back of that very quickly, a mantra for your mind.
Rumi, I am a big Rumi fan. Be fearless in the pursuit of what Be fearless in the pursuit of what sets your soul on fire.
Ah, beautiful. Thank you very much. And give us a location that you love.
My hometown, Kandy, in Sri Lanka.
Oh, wonderful. And one final thing, can you give us a mini message for the masses?
Oh, wow. I'm like, oh my God, this message, I can like solve all the world's problems, but it's not that deep. Hold on. I think it would be that to be kinder to others and to yourself, and also not to underestimate your personal power. That our time on this earth is such a gift. There is a reason why each and every one of us have been born. It's not an accident. Your life and your birth are not accidents. And make sure you make this time count, for yourself and for all of us.
Oh, fantastic. If we had a live studio audience, there would be a massive round of applause now, but I'm going to snap instead for all this wonderful advice, these inspiring stories and anecdotes in your journey as an actor, as a humanitarian, as an activist now as well, with all this wonderful work you've been getting up to over the crisis in the lockdown. You've been pursuing so many passion projects as well. And it's been such a pleasure. It makes me so happy to talk to a South Asian woman from Sri Lanka, an international woman as well, who's been doing such amazing work. Thank you so much for being on our show. Here at Namaskar, we are very particular about self-care, and we want to promote that as well as part of our show, because it's something that South Asian women, a lot of women, but South Asian women particularly tend to neglect a lot, which is their self-care. So what we sent you is a self-care in a nutshell package, or just a nutshell package for short, which has a couple of things in that which would hopefully promote a little bit of self-care. So could you show our viewers and our audience what some of the things that they can do to help self-care, which should hopefully be
Oh my God, it smells amazing. So I've got some candles.
Oh yeah, a bit of candles, love that.
Which I love because for bath times, but also I love to light essential oils. So thank you for that. Tulsi.
Oh yes, some wonderful tea, some tea for the
soul.
soul.
No, yeah, I've got a couple here, and Tulsi green tea. Oh my gosh, there's incense. I love incense. I'm always, my house is always smelling like. My flat is always, thank you. Oh, that smells amazing. Girl, where'd you get your incense from? It's amazing.
Oh, they're all the way from Hyderabad in India.
Girl, I mean,
They do nothing like buying some incense from India for the authenticity of the smells and the scents.
Maggi noodles, every Asian child's ultimate comfort food. No, this is comfort food, people. And I'm going to be definitely using this in my chai, some of this in my chai. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Oh, that smells amazing. And, ooh, we've got something wrapped here. Oh, nice. We've got Vigandal Nourishing Body Oil.
Yes, and I really hope that that's used as much as you can for sleeping, for massages, for a bit of comfort as well.
Amazing.
All vegan, ethically sourced, sustainably sourced as well, fully recyclable packaging as well, other than even the pipette, everything is recyclable on that bottle. The rubber is recyclable, the pipette is glass. Yeah, the pipette is glass as well, and the bottle is glass. And that is your special gift from Vigandal, a lovely company that we've partnered up with to distribute these amazing products to our women.
That smells amazing. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. And thank you so much. You are so inspiring. I am so inspired. And thank you for doing the work that you do, for being you, and more than anything, inspiring the next generation of young South Asian women. Thank you so much.
Likewise, because this is amazing though, because you're giving a platform for to showcase South Asian women, and just how, because we're often drowned out of any mainstream narrative, so this is a real celebration of who we are and what we can do. So thank you as well. And thank you for all of them.
No, I hope you enjoy it. I hope it's great. You can put a couple of drops in your bath, light up your incense and your candles, and have a really lovely evening one day. But self-care as a priority, which I'm really trying to promote for us as women. Thank you so much, and until I see you again soon, really, and looking forward to all your other work and your next projects as well. Thank you, Shalini.
I'm going to be going straight for this, by the way.
Yeah, go for it. Okay, I'm gonna